You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your number one source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, and streaming live on Ustream, this is AfterBuzz TV for Modern Family. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest Modern Family news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, picking up where the show leaves off and the buzz continues, it's AfterBuzz TV for Modern Family.
Oh, AfterBuzz TV. We are the Modern Family podcast without a we, the royal we. I'm flying solo in the studio today. I am Mario Hernandez, and in the booth is Street Dr. Phil, running
welcome.
running the booth, running the control board, and we are talking about Modern Family today. We are talking about the egg drop episode. Modern Family keeps on rolling. A lot of people are saying that this season is not as strong as other seasons, and I disagree. I think that what they are doing in terms of fleshing out the characters and the combinations of the different storylines that they're doing are actually pretty strong. And, it's bound to happen. The novelty of a show will start to wear off. But we've got some solid comedic situations. And again, it's a sitcom. So we want to see the same situations. That's what the sit in sitcom stands for. It's a situational comedy. We want to see the same situations happen over and over again. It's not, TV doesn't really solve anything. Witness Mad Men, the womanizing, philandering ways of Don Draper, who drinks a lot and womanizes. That's never going to change because that's the show. If it changes, then the show's over. Nobody wants to see that. So Egg Drop was an excellent episode, I thought. And the title simply comes from this project that Manny and Luke have to do, wherein they must build some sort of contraption that will pillow, parachute, or cushion an egg, a regular chicken egg, from cracking when you drop it from the first story. And so that kind of that's the A storyline, which of course leads beautifully into a competition between Jay and Claire, who, as parents of their respective boys, they're very competitive, and they want to give each one of their boys a leg up in the project, which of course, makes it about Claire and Jay kind of going head to head. The B storyline involves Phil Dunphy, who is now made partner at the realty office where he works, and he's doing a seminar, and he needs someone to ask questions for his big finale. And it's one of these, really cheesy seminars. If you've ever been to one of these things, whether it's a timeshare pitch or, these kinds of things where you too can, the wealth is in your hands. You have the keys to your wealth that you can just unlock. If you've ever been pitched something because somebody wants your money or your business, then you know what these things are about. They're really cheesy. They're really awful. You have to sit through them and usually end up with some sort of, a packet or a folder, a glossy folder filled with information and pages of stuff that you don't really need. And usually end up with some sort of a useless gift that's usually like a keychain or a plastic cup or pencils, or in Phil Dunphy's case, a mouse pad. And so that's the B-line episode or storyline. The C storyline, which I thought was pretty compelling, given the fact that it could have been, over and done with in one shot, involved, of course, Cam and Mitchell, of course, being interviewed, I should say, for an adoption. And we had a special guest, Zoe Jarman, as Lindsay, who played this young pregnant girl, and she came into Cam and Mitchell's house, and Lindsay was, well, let's be kind. Lindsay is not incredibly bright. And so at first, there was actually, they did a really cool thing with this story, because at first it seemed to be about the fact that Lindsay was not that intelligent. And so Mitchell had to correct her. And Cam was like, "What are you doing? Shut up." She wants to call a chair a clown or whatever. Let it go, because we're trying to get in good with this girl, and being difficult is not, you don't have to be right all the time. So they rearrange the whole apartment, and then they switch gears a little, because they do a little song for Lindsay, and Lindsay inadvertently offends Cam by saying that Mitchell is the one that actually has the singing voice and not Cam. So it's a little switch gears, and then finally in the last clip, there's a little switcheroo where Cam, wants to sing one more song to her to prove that he is a singer, and when he sings, Please Don't Go? Is that the song by Chicago? Is that what it's called? Yeah, it's Please Don't Go. No, If You Leave Me Now. Sorry. Right? Baby, please don't go. Yeah, that one. Baby, Please Don't Go. By Chicago. When he sings that, of course, Lindsay breaks down and cries, because she realizes that she does not want to give up her baby. So all in all, a very, very awesome show. Very cute. A lot of awe moments. Lovely show, Modern Family. So let's begin by simply talking about the competition aspect of Jay and Claire's dynamic. So, I'm a writer myself, so I'm always very interested in the construction of these shows. And Modern Family, anytime you have a show that works really well, and I'd like to think that with a few exceptions, the vast majority of the shows that do well in the ratings and the awards are shows that combine the proper elements of a sitcom. So in the case of Modern Family, you have a very tightly constructed sitcom structure. And when you have a strong sitcom base, as it were, you can then kind of go off the reservation and kind of really change things up and still make it fly. So in this episode, for example, we did not have all the storylines come together at the end. They were basically three separate storylines that went their own way. And usually they tie them together with some sort of life meaning. They didn't do that this time. In fact, we had Cam and Mitchell that had their own storyline completely. And if you watch the show, you know that that's a very rare thing, because usually there's some sort of involvement with the other family members. But Modern Family is very good at mixing up the pairings of the families. Earlier in the season, we had Gloria and Luke, in a car going, tree shopping and Christmas tree shopping. And that's, that was a pairing that was unprecedented in the 3 short year history of Modern Family. So that's what they did. We basically took Cam and Mitchell and gave them their own storyline and did not have them interact with the other folks. And so we had this competition storyline between Claire and Jay. And based on what we know from previous episodes, and also what they explicitly said in this one, we know that they have a competitive dynamic. And we had an episode earlier in the season where we talked about the realists versus the dreamers in the families. And Claire and Jay, I believe, were on the same team, because there's very realistic people. And then, even Mitchell as well, because he's the lawyer. And then we had on the other side the dreamers, who were Cam and Gloria and Phil, almost kind of the goofballs. And then, of course, if we could go even further, I would say that Manny, despite his, I won't say, that's up to interpretation. But I think the girls, there's definitely a clear cut. We know that Haley's the dreamer and Alex is the realist. She's the more intelligent, of course, of the two, so she's the more realistic. And so, we can basically say that these are the heads and the hearts, people that listen to their heart versus people that listen to their head. And in the case of Jay and Claire, they are ostensibly the same people. They're the same person. And at the very end, we had the reveal where Jay says, well, I've always thought that you were cut from the same cloth. I've always loved you. That's why I liked you, because you are me. You are a fighter. You're a competitive spirit. And there was a really tender moment because all of a sudden now Claire realized that this constant headbutting with her father her whole life, was actually a sign of affection, between the two of them, because they were such kindred spirits, because they thought of things so similarly. And I think, anybody who has family members or even friends that are like that, we feel that way sometimes, where we look at people that butt heads with us and we say, what is your problem? And guys do this a lot too, because a lot of times in groups, there can only be, there's only one alpha, wolf, and everyone else has to kind of fall in line. Girls too, girls do this, right? Mean girls and that sort of thing. But birds of a feather kind of really do flock together because you headbutt with the people that are just like you. And so that's what happened between Claire and Jay. And one of the really interesting things that ties in, that I don't know if the writers, I'd like to think that they did this on purpose, was this idea that Gloria, who is seen in the very first scene at the top of the show, yelling at her mother on the phone, or might not have actually been her mother, might have just been some indiscriminate family member. But she's yelling at them, and it was nice. It was nice for the writers to have Manny translate. So, I heard that you're a crazy woman. You're driving me crazy. I want to die. You make me want to kill myself. I love you. And now I'm Mexican. I'm Mexican American, and I know that Latin Hispanic families have a very a passionate way of doing things, because we feel things very strongly, and when we feel these things, we like to let out all our feelings and just kind of put it out there for people to deal with. But we forget very quickly, and we really do. We, in my family, there's, growing up, there was a lot of yelling and a lot of just a really intense, kind of an expulsion, a vomiting of feeling, if you would. And, but 5 minutes later, it's completely forgotten. And while I don't mean to stereotype, certain, shall we say, more buttoned up cultures, they kind of swallow and they kind of eat their angst and kind of hold it in. And so what happens, of course, is you have a bubbling of emotions, kind of like what would happen if you, try to put a brick on top of a kettle of boiling water. Whatever metaphor you want to use, you build up the steam, you build it up, and then boom, an explosion of emotion. And now all of a sudden, the people that have been bottling this stuff in, it all comes gushing out. And we're talking about months and months, if not years, of BS and crap and stuff that people have been holding in. We just had the holidays, and, for many people, that's what the holidays are, right? Is talk about Seinfeld and Festivus, the airing of the grievances, right? That's what happens when families get together. Is all of a sudden those dynamics that happened when you were younger, and those feelings, my sister still brings up stuff that I did when I was a teenager, when I was a kid. And I'm like, I was a kid. I was 12, 13, 14. I mean, like, I had some inkling of what I was supposed to do, but I was, a kid with raging hormones and emotions and, thinking that I knew what was going on and the world didn't understand me and all that garbage that teenagers think. Well, maybe you're a teenager out there, so you know what I'm talking about. But, that's, it comes bubbling out. And so I see both sides. I like I'm a big fan of being honest and just talking about things as they pop up, as whatever you want to do, whatever if it's on your mind, say it. Don't keep it in, because if you do keep it in, then guess what? It's going to pop out at a really inconvenient time. Now, at the same time, I am also a fan of parsing your words and being careful and picking your fights, right? Because you don't want to just say everything, that pops into your mind. That could also be a little bit dangerous. If everybody walked around saying what they wanted to, I don't know. I think there might be a lot of hurt feelings. I think people would, but that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, a lot of times, and as you get older, you learn to navigate these traps. When my girlfriend, for example, when any woman asks you a loaded question, every guy does a self check-in to say, now, do I answer this honestly, or do I be smart? Should I be smart and not say something that will get me into trouble? So there's the classic question, do I look fat? To which the answer is, of course, never. You never look fat. You look great. You are not fat. I need to bulk up to get at you, is what I usually say when I have been asked that in the past, because I know better. Honesty is sometimes not the best policy. But, in Gloria's case, and for the sake of comedy, of course, we do want someone that will say it, right? And that's kind of, and yes, on some level, it does fulfill this stereotype of the feisty Latin hot mama. But there's a heart to it. I never think it's not crazy. She's not stalking anyone. She's not, emotionally unbalanced. She is someone, usually when she explodes, she's someone who has been pushed, because Gloria is a very gentle, very loving person. But we do see that. We see that, she sometimes gets pushed, or she sometimes gets neglected, or something gets ignored that she has specifically asked for. And, you mess with the bull, you're going to get the horns. And so it was really nice to see her kind of groveling at the end of the day, because she was so, if you watch the show, of course, you know that she was asked to be a plant during Phil's presentation. And so we do this a lot sometimes when we're doing presentations or when we're doing shows. We put plants in the audience, people that will raise their hand at the end and ask the setup question for what is basically a really important part of the presentation. So someone will say, what else can I do to, stay involved in my community? That's an excellent question, because staying connected and on and on and on. So her question was, I believe, is there a sixth key? Because Phil had done this presentation where he was presenting the 5 keys of, connectedness, or whatever it is he's selling. And so, is there a 6th key? She was supposed to ask, but she and Haley went off to the spa to get their nails did and their hair done, and they just didn't make it. They just didn't make it back. So Phil had to kind of improvise, and it was kind of a disaster, even though it wasn't that bad. But it messed up his thing. So his presentation. So now we have a situation where Gloria is feeling bad, and she must now apologize to Phil. And she's groveling with him and saying, I'm really sorry. You need to, and he's like, it's fine. He doesn't bite because he's Phil. Phil's kind of a pushover, right? Jay kind of, everyone knows that he's an old softy. And for Gloria, that's akin to not caring, because she's used to this kind of emotional pull. And, it's a situation where, again, if you're Latin, or if you're Italian, or if you're Jewish, there's a certain kind of emotional push and pull that signifies affection. I will say this, it's also regional. Out here, I moved out to Southern California from New York, and in New York, we have what is known collectively in most places as busting each other's balls. Now, the busting of the balls does not actually require testicles, though I have found that the people with said balls are actually more adept at busting them. And whereas out here in California, in Southern California anyway, people are less in tune with things like irony and jokes that can on the surface seem aggressive, but they're actually a sign of affection. And over New Year's, for example, we were with some friends. One of them is from Connecticut, and another one is from New Jersey, which is 2/3 of the tri-state area, and they understood that busting balls is kind of their dynamic. They understood. And so my girlfriend, who is not from the Northeast and who occasionally has taken offense or has been hurt by some of the things that I've said, when I'm like, no, it's me being affectionate. I'm just busting your balls, not realizing that she might not understand that. She can get hurt by it. And so when she saw this dynamic of our two friends kind of ribbing each other, as it were, I said, see, that's the dynamic of how it is in the Northeast, or in, kind of, I feel like most major urban industrial areas. But, again, it's a regional thing. It's a cultural thing. If you didn't grow up with it, it can be very bracing. It can be very hard to see other people do it. And, I get it. I really do. It can be a little harsh. It can seem like on the surface, hey, man, why are you being mean? And it's like, I'm not being mean. I'm actually this is my sign of affection. It's like, you're my friend and I can tell you, what's up with them shoes, or, can you be any later? What were you fixing your hair? I don't think so. That sort of thing that people generally here in Southern California just don't get. People here are very surfacey and take what you say at face value. The Midwest is also like that as well. Parts of the country. There are exceptions, of course. I'm generalizing, but it does happen. I've had that happen on more than one occasion where people just don't get, it's busting each other's balls. So in Gloria's case, she equates anger and that kind of rough, I don't want to say emotional abuse, but certainly that emotional push and pull where someone, literally, where someone just like smacks you on the back of the head, right? That's how you know you got your mother's attention, is when you got smacked on the back of the head. And that's what it is. You equate that kind of physical brusqueness. I'm sure there's a Freudian analysis of it that involves some sort of when we were cubs and being pulled by the scruff of the neck and that sort of thing. But it's something that we equate. We equate affection with that physical connection, that physical intimacy. And so that's what's actually happening there. And so Gloria wants Phil to get mad. And at one point he does finally get mad and starts yelling at her and says, oh, you messed up. I'm really mad. She's like, okay, that's better. And then the moment he's like, oh my God, I made you cry. She's like, no. So it created kind of a really funny moment there towards the end. So the push and pull of Gloria and Phil Dunphy. Again, another great pairing that we don't see that often. Phil is actually the only one and I like this on the show, that acknowledges Gloria's hotness. Sometimes she'll, stretch out or something, and Phil is just kind of caught staring. And so in this one, I could see he's like hugging her and kind of feeling kind of awkward, but she's, that's what she wants. That's what she equates affection with, is real live physical connection. And that's important too. So we're going to take a break here. AfterBuzz TV, Modern Family Podcast. When we come back, we're going to talk about what's in store for Modern Family in the coming weeks. We've got some exciting stuff for you. So stick around.
AfterBuzz TV.
Hi, I was once like you, a lazy, angry loner whose only joy was watching TV and surfing the net. And like you, after I'd see one of my favorite TV shows, I'd be so excited and have so many questions that I'd actually have to talk to my douchebag coworkers about it at the water cooler. Then I discovered AfterBuzzTV.com. AfterBuzz TV produces after-show webcasts and podcasts for TV series of all kinds, like post-game wrap-up shows for all your favorite TV shows. AfterBuzz TV hosts are industry insiders who break down episodes of shows, take calls from fans, and interview cast and crew from each series, with over 60 different after-shows, from Boardwalk Empire to American Idol to Vampire Diaries to Real Housewives, and more. Now, after a night of TV, I can ignore my stupid coworkers, who I hate, and go straight to my desk and watch or listen to all my favorite AfterBuzz TV after shows, and have all the TV fan interaction I need. Thank you, AfterBuzz TV.
AfterBuzz TV. What do you want to buzz about?
Seriously, folks, what do you want to buzz about? If you weren't tuning in to our last SNL podcast, you may not know that the AfterBuzz TV website is up and running.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Yes. Earlier today, Phil Svitek announced that the AfterBuzzTV.com website is finally up and running. And I got it once again, Phil. I got to give you a shout out. This site looks good.
Well, it was a combination of, me and a few other people did the design. It's actually from a lot of fan feedback and a lot of things we learned along the way in the first year that we were up and running. So once again, for those of you listening, you are part of our equation. Everything that we do is obviously catered towards you. We do this for you, not for us. That'd just be silly. Otherwise, Mario and I would just talk while getting coffee, right, Mario?
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be the same thing. We would just do our own thing, but we're trying. Yeah, this is a community, right? This is what we're trying to do. And if you go on the website, you can see that it's very clearly there are literally 7 or 8 ways to connect with us. And that's, subscribing to podcasts or getting updates on Twitter or viewing photos on Facebook, chatting. We're going to enable chatting on here. You're going to be able to email us. And of course, you can always call us in the studio when the show's going live and talk to us. But this is a standout site. This is the future. And it's going to, and what I love too, Phil, because I've had to do this, and I know that this was problematic for a lot of people, is I've had to tell people to go to different sites. So it's like, if you're going to watch me live, go to this website. If you're going to listen to the podcast, you got to go here to download it. Oh, and if you want to follow us, there's a lot, you have to go to all of these different places with like long, URLs to get there. Now it's just AfterBuzzTV.com. And then from there, you can log on, you can check in, you can communicate, you can commune with the communities, with your other fans of the show, and it's an excellent site, and we're going to enable the right. We're eventually going to not televise. What's the word? We're going to broadcast.
We're broadcasting exclusively from AfterBuzzTV.com. We
are going to be broadcasting exclusively from AfterBuzzTV.com. Are we on there now?
We are on there. Right now, we're still with Ustream.
Okay.
And, not that we dislike Ustream. It's just we want to kind of test out some new waters and feel out. We're going to stream on our website. And because we've been getting a lot of complaints that the audio and video are out of sync on Ustream.
Yeah.
Which is a problem. And so, of course, with the new ones, we've been testing it. So we fixed that issue. So that's why, again, we hear your complaints, and obviously we want to address them. Sometimes we address them later than we should, but we try to as fast as we can, of course.
Yeah, I think it looks great, and I'm really looking forward to having it be a one-stop shop for all things AfterBuzz, and also for me when I'm not in the studio, I want there to be one place so that I'm not doing it on my phone and stuff. But all right, so let's talk about some upcoming news here in the Modern Family world. Two little bits, actually a couple of pieces that I picked up, one over the holidays and 2 more that I just picked up right now. First of all, congratulations to Modern Family. The DGA Awards were announced. That's the Directors Guild of America, for those of you that are savvy enough to follow the biz. Directors Guild of America Awards were announced, and Modern Family is up for an award for the Directors Guild of America. They got a nomination. And good luck to Modern Family. I know they are very, very good. And Directors Guild just does a TV nominees, so you will have, Modern Family. Actually, okay, so they got 2 nominations. Director Fred Savage, who directed After the Fire. I didn't even know that Fred Savage directed it. If it's the same Fred Savage, let's go to IMDb and find out. But also for their other director. What is his name? Michael Spiller, who did Express Christmas. That's pretty cool. I can't believe if this is actually Fred Savage. And where have I been? Actor, director, let's see here. Director, yes! So Fred Savage, who played Kevin Arnold on The Wonder Years. That Fred Savage is now nominated for a Directors Guild of America award for doing After the Fire, which was a wonderful episode that, of course, we podcast. If you follow AfterBuzz and the Modern Family podcast, you know that we talked about it. And I can't believe we missed that. So I'm going to stay on top of that to find out, because the guys behind the camera are also an integral part of the show, naturally. But it's pretty funny because Palestinian Chicken from Curb Your Enthusiasm and all these other great episodes are being nominated. The news that I picked up over the holidays, because Ellen Barkin was in the news because she apparently got harassed by the New York Police Department. That's NYPD for those of you in the biz, in the crime fighting biz. Ellen Barkin is going to be on an upcoming show, and that's pretty exciting because she's attractive still. And but then the big news right now, if you go online, the big news for Modern Family is that Lily, yes, Lily, the little adopted daughter of Cam and Mitchell, is going to drop the F-bomb on Modern Family. Now, if you follow the show, you know that this season's Lily is not the same Lily that the show started with. That's actually quite common in Hollywood as child actors kind of grow up. Very seldomly, actually, do very baby child actors grow up and be anybody. Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen accepted, of course. I hope you're not listening to that because you guys are definitely the exception to the rule. And if you are listening, give me a job. But when the little kids grow up, you know, and the thing about kids is that quite often you see twins. That's why Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen played, were twins that played young baby. Is it Michelle Tanner? One of the baby Tanners. But she, there's a certain law, so the children can only be on set a certain amount of time. So when you have twins, it works out better that way. But anyway, so stick around because keep watching Modern Family. Little Lily is going to say the F-bomb. That's the F word, F-U-C-K, if you know what I mean. The old fuck toodle, if you know what word I'm talking about. If you can guess the hidden word in that word, fuck toodle, you'll know what word I'm talking about. And Lily says it, the little baby says it. And it's one of the words that you can't say on TV. So we're going to see how we bleep it. We're going to see how big a part of the show, of the plot line it's going to be. But stick around. Modern Family, if you want to hear babies drop F-bombs, that is where to go. So that's what's going to be coming up. Nothing much in the way of predictions. I predict that the F-bomb is going to be funny. But thanks so much for listening. And seriously, if you guys want to tune in,
Your
call
AfterBuzz TV predictions.
I predict that the F-bomb is going to be totally hysterical. And that I hope that the F-bomb and the Ellen Barkin storylines coincide. Thanks so much for listening, guys. And again, you can follow me at Cinemario on Twitter. I have an upcoming improv show with my improv group Conrad at the iOS Loft. That's here in Hollywood at 10:30 this Monday, Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So if you're listening to this sometime this weekend, by all means, come check it out. Come say hi. Friend me on Facebook, all that jazz. I'm Mario Hernandez, and we will see you next week with another exciting podcast for Modern Family. It's going to be great. Keep tuning in. Thanks so much. AfterBuzzTV.com. Thank you, Phil, Street Dr. Phil.
You know what sucks, though, Mario?
What sucks, brother?
The AfterBuzzTV.com website is not a one-stop shop because you don't have your bio up there, buddy.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
all right.
Mario's got to send us his bio, so he'll certainly do that, and so he'll make it even easier for you to find him as well.
Yes. I see. Yes.
Yes.
I'm learning, too. This is a learning process, folks. Thanks so much for being patient with us.
But, yes, as Mario said, thank you. We'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Take us out, Phil.
From producers Kevin Undergaro and Phil Svitek, engineer DJ Jesse Janity, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. If you have questions or comments, be sure to buzz us at info@AfterBuzzTV.com. And you can find us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.